Okay, so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a form and also uh, create some sort of, I guess, a login form, if you will, while observing accessibility. So first, I'm going to use brackets to select my home folder, which is on the desktop. I called it demo. Okay, next, I'm going to create a file. I'm sorry, let's put that back. Okay, I'm going to create a web page. So of course, if you already have an HTML5 web page from before, you don't have to type all of these things yourself. So creating a login form, so rightfully so, I saved the web page a second ago, or a few seconds ago, as login form.html. And so now I'm putting together the HTML code that's needed in this page. Okay, so say customer student log in. Say that's my title. All right. So first thing is I'm going to need a form tag, and there are a couple of attributes that normally go into a form tag. One is the action. Now, normally what we put here is the file name of the script, the server script that's going to process the form. So for this demonstration, I'm not covering that. I'm only covering how to build and apply some CSS to the form. So what I'm going to do is set the action to login submit.php. So I'm assuming that I have this file. I do not have this file right now, so I'm just pretending that I have one. And another attribute called method, which determines how the data will be passed to the server. And usually, not all the time, but usually when we're building forms, we set the value to post, and that takes care of the form tag. The next thing I'm going to do is create in the form tag a couple of divs. Well, the first div, I'm going to use that to contain a text box for letting the user type, let's say in this case, the username, which is the student ID. So first thing I'm going to do is use the label tag SID. Now the value of the for attribute in this case is or rather will be the ID of the text box. Now the label tag, as mentioned in many references, is great for accessibility. In this case, in fact, with the help of the for attribute of the label tag, I'm able to associate the label to the text box, which is actually this thing, or this code that I'm typing right now. Now, there's quite a number of attributes that you can put in a text box, two of which are required, and these are name and an ID. Okay. Now, you can consult other references for further information about the various attributes available in the text box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that the student ID is a numeric field, and let's say its maximum is 6 digits. So I'm going to put their max length of 6. Okay, so note that the label tag and the input tag, these are both inline elements. In other words, say if we view that now in the browser, as you will see, there you go. The label and the text box are on the same line. Okay, so let me close that and proceed to the next div. In fact, roughly I'll need the same type of coding. So for in this case, I'll call it PWD, and that'll be the password. And there is a password box. The code is input type equals password. Now, just like the text box, we got to give it a name and an ID. I'm also going to give it a max length of, let's say, the maximum length of the password is 16. Okay, let me just make this wider. Now, note that the for attribute the value of the for attribute must be consistent with the value of the ID attribute, not the name. In fact, same thing here. The value of the for attribute is consistent with the ID. Also note that the name and the ID may be different, although in these cases they're practically the same. So finally, I'm going to need a login button, which is actually a submit button. Now, we don't need the label when we're putting buttons. So input type equals submit, and the value is actually sort of acting as a label. So we put there submit. We don't have to give it a name or an ID. We could, but it won't serve any purpose. So there you go. The ID and the name, though, these are required on other form fields, except the submit button. Okay. Let's see now how this looks. I mean, don't expect for it to look much because I have not applied, some CSS code to it. So there you go. There's the form. If we type in the student ID 1234, 12, and as you can see, I cannot go beyond that. Thanks to the max length password, I can type the password, and at some point it stops, prevents me from typing any further. And again, that's thanks to the max length 16 in the code. Of course, if I click submit, that's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna show me this. So, but like I said, the coverage of this tutorial is just how to build a form. Now, in addition to what I've just said, we can also change the value of the button to log in, so people would know what that does or what will that do when they click the button. The value of the submit button, in this case, input type equals submit, that dictates the text that you'll see on the button. So there you go. There's the fundamentals of creating a form.